Let us stand. Would we have anyone from the audience who'd like to lead us in prayer? Okay, Mr. Dr. Blue.
Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you, God, for allowing us to see and everything. We ask you, Lord, that you help us to have a good school week before we begin tonight. Bless everyone that's in the name.
Thank you. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to say good evening to everyone and welcome to the Tuesday, September 8th, 2020 school board meeting. And at this time, this meeting has been called to order. There aren't any amendments to the agenda. Would there be any public comments? Mr. Isaac. Okay. For the record, no public comments. And also for the record, just want to recognize everyone in attendance. Here in the county office, we have board members Carol Gibson, Bart Alford, Reggie Daniels, and remotely, we have board members Susie Williamson and Sharetta Bell. And we also have here in the district office Superintendent Shirley Joseph, Isaac Goyette, Ms. Robin Hill, Ms. Becky Bishop, and with the health department, we have Ms. Kim Albritton, Ms. Kristen Johnson, Ms. Annie Dyke. I also have present here Dr. Travis Blue. And Board Attorney Tommy Reeves advised he may be a little late. All right. Consent agenda items. Do we have a motion to approve?
Excuse me, Mr. Daniels, we're gonna pull number
Oh, that's right, that's right.
4.2.
Yeah, just for the record, item 4.2, we're going to pull for the time being assessment calendars. 4.2, we're going to pull item 4.2, assessment calendars. With that said, do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent items.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, have a motion and second. Will there be a need for discussion?
I'd like to make a comment on 4.6. Maybe just
Okay.
a little bit more information. Excuse me. It seems like a very good program, but I'm wondering, will the teachers be teaching this, or Ms. Brown, or how will this look like in a classroom?
Ms. Brown will get with the principal and set up a time to go within the classroom, and she will be teaching it, and she will also be taping some of the segments, so in case the students have to go remote learning, they will still be able to get these lessons.
Okay, well, thank you. That's what I was wondering. Okay.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor, Ms. Gibson,
Approve.
Mr. Alford,
Approve.
Ms. Williamson,
Approve.
Ms. Bell,
Approve.
and also approve 5-0. Motion carried. Consent agenda items have been adopted. Items for individual consideration. 5.1, approval of school board policies. Dr. Travis Blue.
Good evening, Brother Chair and board members.
Good evening.
I ask for the approval of 5.1 to be advertised for 28 days.
Okay.
This is for approval.
Have we
This has been advertised. This is for approval. It's
For
been
approval.
advertised.
Yes. So it has been advertised. So this is the public hearing.
Right. All right. We're going to, at this time, we're going to open up the meeting for the public. For if they have anything they would like to input or add or contribute or ask at this time. Do we have any? Okay. According to the record, we don't have anyone who would like to contribute to the public hearing portion of the 5.1, so we'll close the public hearing at this time.
Mr. Chairman, you got 4 policies. You can do them all at once. You can take them individually. However, a board member would like to make a motion.
Okay. I think it's a little easier to do them
All at once, I would think.
Do we have a motion to approve all of the policies that's being presented?
I move
I'll
to,
make the motion to approve the policies.
Okay. Do we have a second?
second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Williamson, second by Mr. Alford. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor, Ms. Gibson,
Approve?
Mr. Alford,
Approve.
Ms. Williamson,
Approve.
Ms. Bell,
Approve.
and I also approve. 5-0, approval of the school board policies have been adopted.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Dr. Blue. 5.2, request for extra hours, adult ed, Superintendent Joseph.
Okay, this is a request for extra hours for one of the teachers in our adult ed program. In prior years, she has been working with our adult program under contract, but this year she was hired as one of our staff members. Tax law will not let you pay a person during the same time frame with a W-2 and a 1099. And therefore, we want her to continue with the adult ed program, but we will have to pay her, we will have to allow her to have extra hours and just pay her a standard contracted amount. But we will not make another contract of the contract.
All right, after hearing from the superintendent, do we have a motion to approve the request for extra hours?
I
I
move
make the
to,
motion to approve the request for the extra hours for adult ed.
Okay. Do we have a second?
second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Bell, second by Ms. Gibson. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor? Ms. Gibson,
Approve?
Mr. Alford,
Approve.
Ms. Williamson,
Approve.
Ms. Bell,
Approve.
also approved 5-0. Motion carried. Request for extra hours has been approved. 5.3, personnel changes. Dr. Blue.
Yes, Brother Chair and Board, I ask that the Board approve personnel changes 5.3 at this time.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the personnel changes?
I move to
I
approve the
make the
personnel
motion to
changes.
approve the personnel changes.
Okay. We have a second.
Second.
Okay. All right, so we'll credit the motion to, sound like she's seconding. Yeah, okay, all
Sound
right.
like it?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Alford, second by Ms. Bell. There'll be a need for discussion. All in favor? Ms. Gibson?
Approve?
Mr. Alford?
Approve.
Ms. Williamson?
Approve.
Ms. Bell?
Approve.
Also approved. 5-0. Personnel changes have been adopted.
Thank you, Brother
Thank you.
Chair and Board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that audio delay throws you off a little bit there. So. All right. Okay, we're to the finish line. Superintendent items.
Okay, Mr. Chair and fellow board members, superintendent has several things to discuss, but I have someone to come and discuss them for me. Robin Hill is going to come and present to you, talk about our enrollment and where we are with our curriculum at this time.
Good evening to the board. Just to update you, where each week the state is requiring that the district submit a survey of numbers to the state that makes us look at how many students we have in brick and mortar schools, how many students we have in our distance learning academy, how many students are doing a district virtual school, and how many students have withdrawn from the district to go to homeschool or a private school. And so this past week, I submitted that information to DOE. They actually make us break it down by school. And so just to update you, we have in our brick and mortar schools, 1,263 students district-wide. In my district virtual, we have 88 students. In our distance learning academy, we have 552 students. And then students who have withdrawn to homeschool, we have 85. Our homeschool program before this year, we had about 150 to 160 students. Now we're well over 200. So we've actually had quite a few no-shows, as we call them. We've started making phone calls to find out where the students are. There were 51 virtual no-shows. Those are students who have not logged in to either my district virtual or to the distance learning academy. And so we've been calling those students to find out where they are, what they're doing. Some of them have shared that they are full-time Florida virtual school students. Some have shared that they are K-12 full-time virtual students. Some have said they don't have internet after all, and so we've tried to get them back in school. We've been working with all of them. We had, I think, 43 brick and mortar no-shows. Ms. Linton Hart has been making phone calls to those homes to see where those students are. Some of them have moved away. Some of them have also said they're doing a full-time virtual program that is not part of the district. Some of them we've been able to get to come to school. And so we are trying desperately to get all of our students back into an educational program. It's just taken time to work through all that. Some of the phone numbers are not working anymore, that kind of stuff. So I did want to update you on the numbers, and we're required to submit those numbers every week. And so each time we have a board meeting, I can bring those latest numbers to you so you can see where we stand. We have allowed, I looked at the number today, I think it was 86 students to change the option that they chose over a 2-week period. That's a lot of students. But when they have called and said, we don't have internet, we want them to be educated. And so we've tried to make space. We met this morning and tried to get some more students back in the brick and mortar school because of internet issues. I will tell you that we are having a lot of internet issues. Some of them are on the student side, some of them are on the district side. We are having parents who are calling, and some of them are having trouble with getting their students logged on to WebEx. I was reading an article this afternoon on CNN that there are parents across the country who are having that same issue, whether it's WebEx or Zoom or Microsoft Teams. It seems to be an issue where our country is not prepared for the number of students who are trying to do virtual education via streaming. It was one thing at the end of last year, we weren't trying to stream teachers teaching. But this year, we're trying to provide those students with, a live teacher, via the internet, and it's making it very difficult for internet companies and these providers. So we know that there are issues. We're trying to work through them to help the students. We are able to be one-to-one with Chromebooks. However, not all of our Chromebooks are new. And so some of the Chromebooks are having some issues because they're older and they won't stream some of the programs that need to be streamed. And so we're working on those, trying to get the parents to bring them back. We trade out. And so just know that we are trying to work with parents and with students to make sure that they get a quality education. Any questions?
I have a question. Refresh my memory, My District Virtual, is that the one where the students have to pass in order for us to get the reimbursement?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's called the Distance Learning Academy.
No,
No,
My
My
District
District.
Virtual.
That's the Madison Virtual School.
Yes.
That's my distance, yeah.
Yep. That one, it depends on the student success rate for us to get FTE.
But we will the first,
We won't get it until after Survey 4 over the summer.
okay.
I wonder when we have students and parents sign up for either the distance learning or the My Virtual, is that the time to maybe test and see that they have internet access? Like maybe do a,
We asked them.
but I mean, maybe do like a Zoom meeting with them or something that you could
Yeah.
actually see it. And I'm not saying that's something
Yeah.
you can do now. I know you're doing
Right.
everything you can to tread
Well,
water
yeah,
right now, but-
this past summer, we had over 400 students sign up within 1 week. So we were
really
doing
wanna
everything we could just to get them signed up. Parents had to sign the form that said they had internet, that they had a computer or, not a computer, because we told them we'd provide the Chromebook, but that they had a way to print and upload assignments. There were several things they had to agree to, and of course, all of them did, but now, they've lost their internet for some reason, or their internet is not as fast as they thought it was, or that kind of thing.
Something as simple as telephone numbers, those are given to us, and when you try to use it, you can't get them. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's the basic, that you would think that would be something we could access, but if you look in Focus, many of those numbers do not match
yeah.
when people try to call.
Any other questions?
How has that been working, the distance learning and all of that? I mean, does it seem to be going okay? I mean, like from a teaching perspective, or?
It depends on the student. We've had parents come up here and we've been troubleshooting here at the school. Some parents are not having any problems. Some parents are having a lot of problems. And so we're just trying to work through each issue as it comes. But yes, we probably had over 100 of our Distance Learning Academy who've had to trade out a Chromebook, or that we've been trying to troubleshoot problems with their internet, or WebEx not working right, or whatever.
It sounds like you've been very accommodating, but I'd like to get something clear in my mind about this sheet.
Okay.
Okay, you said there was 88 Madison Virtual. Now, that means because you have Distance Learning Academy on the second one.
Right.
and Madison Virtual School here.
Right.
So which one is the 88?
The 88 is the Madison Virtual.
Oh, that's the 88. All right. And so
In
there's
the
five.
Distance Learning
That's-
Academy, there are 552.
Okay, and that's the one that we will get after successful completion, we'll get the money
The 88,
for the 88.
right.
Okay.
The other is seat time.
The
Right.
others, right, okay.
Which is why, we have to stream the video in the Distance Learning Academy so that the students are there, they're getting live instruction.
Okay, thank you.
Were any of the 86 that were allowed back, were any of those homeschool students?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's good.
Yes, sir. Well, and
Robin, do
even
you
some,
have the,
go ahead.
do you have the numbers that are at the brick and mortar schools?
Yes, ma'am. Do you need each school or do you want the total?
I was just curious. I can get with you later if you want me to.
Okay, I can share it now. At the high school, there are 349 students who are actually attending school. At Madison County Central, there are 589. At Lee Elementary, there are 142. At Pinetta, there are 122. And at Greenville Elementary, there were 61. Now, these numbers were current as of last Friday. We did make some changes today, and that added a few to each school. We also had some students withdraw today to other counties. So the numbers really do, even on a typical year, the numbers change the first 2 weeks of school pretty significantly. But this year, even more so.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll be glad to send those numbers to you if you would like.
That's okay. I wrote them down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Ms. Hill.
very much.
Mr. Chair, for the second part of my comments, as always, we are trying to maneuver with grace and compassion. And last week kind of tried our grace and compassion. And I'd like to publicly thank the health department for working with us because we did encounter some active cases. And so Ms. Albritton and her group will, they're going to give us a presentation about where we are and what we're doing.
Okay. Ms. Albritton?
I'm giving you 3 handouts. She had shared with me earlier. Yes.
Robin, you want to come get your mask? I'm fragile child. I don't want to do anything to contaminate it. Good evening, Chair, board members. It's
evening.
good to see you all again. And
Likewise.
And she described that perfectly. Thank you, Superintendent Joseph. We do need a lot of grace and patience in going through this. So over the last 2 weeks, we've seen we have seen some positives, and we've seen some exposed teachers, exposed students, and some positive students. And so overall, at the Madison County Central School, you have, since the beginning of school, you have 20 students that are exposed, 3 staff that have been exposed. You have 2 students that are positive, and 0 teachers that have tested positive. In the high school, you have 24 students that are exposed. You have 3 staff exposed. 2 students tested positive or have COVID, and then 1 teacher has COVID at the high school. And I believe, let me back up to the Madison Central School. There is also 2 non-teaching staff members that are positive, correct? Pardon me, they're exposed? Ooh, okay, we need to change that. So they're exposed, not positive. So in the entire district, you have 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 4 students and 1 teacher that are positive in the school district right now. So as Superintendent Joseph said, that this has been a learning situation for us, not only for the health department, but it's also been for the school district as well. Some of the CDC guidance has changed early on, just before we started school, and it is a challenge to remain updated on these on the guidance that's presented, and knowing exactly how that's going to extrapolate and change some of the strategies as we move forward in dealing with COVID and responding to COVID in the schools. So what I shared with Superintendent Joseph today is 3 guidance documents that have the latest guidance and basically how we are working in the state to respond to COVID in the K through 12 schools. The first one is basically details how to reduce the spread within the school. It talks about strategies such as cohorting, how to identify cases and contacts, when we begin excluding individuals from school, and when individuals can return to school. And then it just talks a little bit about the important role that the parents and guardians have as well. And then it talks some about testing. And then the final page talks about the decision to close a school. And the decision to close a school will ultimately be the school boards, under the school board's authority. However, there will be input from the health department as well as Superintendent Joseph as to where we stand and give you the information you need to be able to make that decision. The other guidance that we have is how to conduct contact tracing in the K through 12 schools. And it provides you the definitions of the various terms that we use in our epidemiological investigations. It talks about the case interview, what all goes on, and the types of information and the data that we collect in the interview. It looks at the types of items that we evaluate when we're looking at particular individuals, whether they're a close contact or they're a positive. And it talks about just how we look at how the classroom is set up, the movement of the students, the type of instruction the teacher is utilizing at the time, and just other information that is provided from school administrators as well. And it talks a little bit more about cleaning and disinfection, and basically, so that talks about the second handout. And then the third handout is just a frequently asked questions to help clarify questions that have been presented on our district-wide and statewide conference calls that we've had. So I provided that today to Superintendent Joseph. I've also provided to the teachers union and to all the other individuals in the county that have requested information on the schools as well. So I think what's going to need to occur is that you'll need some time to digest this and to review this so that you can formulate questions, and I can be accessible for those via on the phone. I can also come back as things evolve and answer questions. I know we had some hurdles to overcome last week when we did have some activity at both the central school and the high school, and just understanding the process, the teachers understanding the process, administrators understanding the process, as well as understanding that when we first initially find someone, the recommendation of the schools has been for them to isolate and to go home to begin with, and then after we get the contact information, we follow up with an interview, and then we look at each case individually and then make recommendations based on that. Now, the golden rule is if you're positive, you don't get to come to campus at all, whether you're a student, non-instructional staff, or a teacher. Now, and then with exposed students do not get to come to the campus either. The preferred strategy is that they isolate for 14 days at their home. Now, in teachers, the preferred strategy is that they isolate at home for 14 days. However, the governor has issued that, and the President of the United States has issued that teachers are considered essential workers. And so if the school deems that the school cannot operate without these individuals that we identify as close contacts in the classroom or in the front office or performing whatever duties, say at the food service, then we need to have a conversation with them as best how to move forward with ensuring that all the students and teachers are protected from their exposure. They can return to the classroom. However, what they have to do is they do have to wear a mask. And let me find out. I think there's daily symptoms checks that needs to occur. They need to also adhere to staying at least 6 feet away at a minimum from all students and teachers. The individual that is a close contact and is allowed to come back to work must wear a mask at all times. They are to come to campus, go to their classroom, and limit their interactions with the students 6 feet from them at all times, and then they are to go home and nowhere else and to school. You have a question?
So this is the individual who tests positive?
No,
They're-
this is an individual who has been determined that is a close contact to someone who
okay.
has tested positive.
Okay, I
No,
got you.
with no contact for how long?
We prefer 14 days. However, if they are deemed an essential employee, then they can come back to school. However, they must follow that they wear a mask, stay more than 6 feet away from students and teachers, and do not come to work if they have symptoms that develop.
Well, all of our employees are essential, because we wouldn't hire anyone unless they were essential, in my mind. In other words, we don't have extra people floating around
Yeah, but,
without a purpose.
but think about, your normal school year, if a teacher's out, you hire a sub, you can do a sub for a little while. I mean, I think what you're saying is if the school itself could not run without those folks, they would
If
be
there is
essential
no
for
one-
these purposes, right? But I mean, if you can bring a sub in for somebody, then it's not essential. They're not essential, right?
I don't know.
I mean, the position
I mean,
the position is
that
certainly
position is, that's right.
But-
In other words, someone can take their place. That's what you're saying,
For the
Well, for
teacher,
14 days,
for 14
for the
days.
teacher aspect,
which is 2 school weeks.
But that's not a teacher that you're bringing in. That's a sub. And the students suffer when that happens.
I agree.
You know, that's what worries me.
But I mean, before COVID, if the teacher got sick, you bring in a sub.
Yes, uh-huh.
I mean, I think that would probably be the test, would be, if COVID wasn't here and that teacher couldn't be there, I mean, things would go on, right?
They'd go on, but they wouldn't go on the way they would normally be.
But
Yeah, right.
not the way they normally go on, I don't think is the same as essential.
Okay.
Correct. Basically, it's, the preferred strategy is to isolate them and to stay away from other individuals because they potentially can develop symptoms and then expose others. So, and the true test, if you begin allowing these individuals to come back to the classroom and they start having children show up and test positive, then you're going to see that they are not following the guidance and not appropriately wearing their mask. And this can become critical, and it possibly could lead to a school shutdown. This is the method that we have used for years in handling infectious diseases. This did not just come about as of COVID. This has been instituted from way back in the 1800s. So it is to exclude them, and it is to protect your other healthy individuals from the risk of
Yeah,
contracting.
I understand that. Mhm.
but on the flip
So if
side,
a teacher has been exposed and they still can teach in school, but they can't do anything else, they're supposed to go home after school.
Correct.
Can they continue to, if it's like a coach, can a coach still be out there coaching the football team if they're a teacher?
It
But
does
they
not
still go out
include
and coach?
extracurricular activities. No, ma'am, it does not include extracurricular activities. Those are not essential services.
So what you're saying, they can continue coaching or they can't continue coaching?
They cannot.
Okay.
They can't be in the press box, with a mask on, because they're still going to be hooping and hollering, and it is the droplets that are emitted from the nose and the mouth that are the most contagious, and it's very hard for a coach to be able to do that from the sidelines and, from the press box to be able to carry that on.
So that's if they've been exposed, right?
If
Not
they've
if
been
they're positive.
exposed or positive, correct.
Oh, positive. Okay then. Okay.
If they're positive, it doesn't matter that they're essential. They have to stay home. Even
Exactly.
essential has to stay home.
There's no essential exception for them.
All right. And then for the extracurricular, I mean, assuming it's the chess club, I mean, that guy's still going to have to, if their essential status is not going to let them coach at the chess club any more than the football.
Correct.
Right, because it's just that doesn't fall within an essential.
Correct.
designation.
Correct. The primary focus here is to limit your interactions with others, and you're continuing to expose individuals potentially by interacting with them, even though you have a mask. Most face coverings, if you are not in your full PPE garb, which is your hairnet, your shoes, your coverings, gowns, and N95s, you are not fully protected.
Well, the sad part of this is none of us here want people to be exposed, but the reality of it is that many of the teachers are essential who may come in contact or have, say, a student in their room and they weren't within 6 foot of the student. And in reality, I hear what you're saying about if they were to stay, then you possibly could spread it well and we have to shut down the school. But in reality, if we start having to roll, sending all these teachers home who are exposed, having Johnny in the back of the room, and I hadn't even been in contact with them, we're going to have to shut down also. And as the reality of looking at this district, we cannot afford to shut down again. It is going to be very bad for the district, and we've got to do all we can to try to keep the doors open. And there are, I mean, like Ms. Gibson said, everyone is essential in our district. But there are teachers, especially at the high school level, where you have specific areas, and Ms. Hill can agree to this because she was there for many years. If you have a chemistry teacher teaching chemistry or physics, you can't hire a sub to come in and teach that. You can't hire a sub really to teach any of the classes from middle to high school and be able to do it with fidelity and efficient. So, I mean, the administrators have to take a hard look at truly who is going to impact the students, and keep them as safe as you can keep them, because in reality, when you start quarantining these teachers for 14 days, at the high school and middle school level, you're affecting multiple students. Hundreds of students will be affected by having someone not there for that amount of time. And I get it, we don't want to expose them, but I do think there's a way we can keep them safe and keep them separate. And at the secondary level, teachers easily can lecture from the front of the room and be 6 foot away from the students. At the elementary and primary, nursery level, it's a little bit harder, but at the middle, high school level, probably from 4th grade on, you could easily do it. So I
Just drop a tape line in the floor and say the kids have to be on
well, you
that
lecture
side.
at the board and you do no small groups.
And that's the key right there, and the school district and the administrators of that school will need to assure that, do some audits, pop in, make sure that they are doing everything to protect the students and other teachers from that exposure. Our job here is not to keep people out. We want our children in school. We want our teachers in school as well. However, we do not want to increase the risk of someone getting this disease that will not live through that.
Right.
So,
Nor do we, and I appreciate Friday, I had Ms. Albritton talk to me, spoke with me Friday concerning this, and I appreciate you calling and speaking with me. And again, as a district, we have, I don't know if other board members realize it, but we have to try to stay open and stay going so we can keep everyone employed. At some point, we're going to have to take a hard look at the money and the numbers, and we just need to keep going. And safety is our top priority, but we have to keep going and to ensure, first off, for the students to continue to make learning gains and not fall farther behind. The sad part of this, your lowest quartile is going to be the ones who are the greatest affected by this shutdown. If we were to have to go virtual, that is who's going to be harmed. Not your ones in the middle of the road, not your high achievers. It's your lower quartile that will never catch up. And again, I feel that we just need to do all we can in order to stay open, and the health department is working with us. I'm glad they are. But I do think at the secondary and middle school level, there's a way to even if you have someone in your class that has been positive, to work around this where you still could, to start using these practices from the get-go where you're not around them. If we can't do that, then we probably need to shut down, because it's going to be a constant roll-in once this starts. From, oh, Johnny was in my room, now I've got to quarantine. I mean, I don't know how you're going to function like that in
Well,
reality. When
yeah.
you start contact tracing, you're not going to be able to.
Well, what we do is, when we start looking at who has been close to the positive individual, we start looking at their proximity. We do a full assessment of, do they really need to be excluded, or can they continue on? And then if they do happen to become symptomatic, give us a call, and then we can take different strategies at that time. But I think that what I would like to challenge you all tonight is to go back to the schools and request the teachers to come up with some alternative instructional methods where they would, in the event they were a close contact, how they would instruct in that class, given the subject that they're teaching. But, go ahead and start thinking about some of the strategies they would put in place that may be more restrictive than what they're doing right now, so that they would already have in their mind, okay, if this was to happen, this is what I would need to do. And hopefully that will, provide some kind of, thought into this, and give them an idea of what may need to occur if this was to happen, and if they were deemed essential and they were, did have to come back to the school. If at all possible, I do want to request that it is not a given that everyone gets to come back in the classroom. It just isn't. But what we have to do is we have to talk with the administrators, talk with Superintendent Joseph, and determine, can this individual safely continue in her classroom or his classroom, and while ensuring the safety of the students and other teachers that they come in contact with. I mean, this means not going to the break room. This means not going to the lunchroom. This means there's still going to be alternative things that have to come up. They may not be able to escort their kids to the lunchroom. They may have to have another teacher take 2 classes to escort them to the lunchroom if they're in elementary or in secondary. Just go ahead and be thinking about those types of things that you would implement in the classroom that may be able to accommodate a teacher becoming deemed essential in the case that they were a close contact. But we do look at each case individually, and we work with the school district and Superintendent Joseph on each case, so.
I would like to say that I met with Ms. Albritton and her team on Friday, and we did come up with some talking points. And what I'm trying to do is write down some isolation guidelines. I've got to update this, if you notice this draft, and some things I've omitted out of here, but I want to be able to come up with some guidelines so that we will know what we're doing and how to proceed. I would also like to thank especially the high school and the central school, because that's one of the places we've been. They do have seating charts. We put a plan in place, and they are working their plan. By doing that, the students are in the little hubs, and so I don't have to go tracing all over the school and finding these. And so the kids are sort of contained, and therefore we can contain the spread of the items. It's going to cause a little bit uncomfort for a few of the staff, but what's one day of uncomfort to make sure that you are safe and everybody else safe, as opposed to 2 or 3 weeks? Yes, we did send some teachers home, but we needed time for the health department to do their job, and they are swift in certain things they do.
Thank you.
Thank you. They have no control on when the test comes back, but give us time to make sure that we got the scene clean and evaluated, and then once we find out everything's okay, we want the teachers back. All of us in here, we are about student achievement, but we may cause them a little bit uncomfortable, make them uncomfortable for a little while, but it's about them. It's about operating with grace and compassion and having everybody's heart in a place. And by doing what we did do an all-call for the affected school. We did not have a rush of parents out to the school. And so I think we are handling it okay. We've got some hurdles to go around. We're making mistakes, but we're learning as we're going. And each time, we hope we don't have to do too much more practice, but we're getting better with this.
That we're refining it. I mean, there's no way, this is the first time we've, on each, departments have had to deal with this. There's just no way to anticipate all the different policies and procedures that you need in place to be able to handle something like this. But I think one thing that we do have positive going for us is that we do have a close relationship. Ms. Joseph knows she can call me early in the morning and late in the evening at any time, and vice versa. So we have been working closely with trying to determine what is the best way to handle this. But just so that y'all have an idea, is once we have found out that there may be some close contacts or a positive within the schools, we work closely with that school administration to be able to identify who those individuals are. We let them identify them, give us the line list, then we asked for the contact information of all the students and all the teachers that are involved and the staff involved. Then we take that information and we go back and we contact each individual individually and assess their situation. Just like Friday, we thought we had 5 teachers that were going to be impacted. When it all came down to it, after we got all the information, only 2 were impacted. So it does make a difference when we're able to get in there and move swiftly and get all the information from the individuals.
Kim, I'd like to say something positive. I believe Mrs. Hill said there's 1,263 students in the schools, in the brick and mortar schools. Now, with all those students, only 4 students have tested positive. Now, I'd say in the past, we've had flu, I've taught for a long time, we've never isolated, we've never ostracized teachers. I mean, life went on very well. And I'd say that 4 students is a pretty good track record for now.
I do too.
So,
especially for the first 2 weeks.
And we are all about safety, but we're all about getting an education. That's
Correct.
very important. And not only for the education, but what worries me is the abuse, neglect, the exploitation, the violence they're exposed to, weight gain. There's a list a mile long of why they should be at school, and that's what concerns me. So we want to do our best to keep our teachers in school.
And that's why it's real important, too, for all the teachers and the students to take this seriously and to do what needs to be done to protect themselves and to protect others so that we're not faced with these situations throughout the entire school year. And hopefully things will get to a point to where we're not having to deal with this as much as we are right now.
Kim, are there any trends over the last week or 2 as far as positives and that kind of thing? Looks like it's on the increase, the decrease? Is there anything like that?
Actually, it has decreased, and it's not at the level that it was. I did an analysis for Jefferson today, and so I wasn't able to get to Madison's today. I'll be doing that for the Board of County Commissioners tomorrow. But what we're seeing is pretty much it's individuals that are close contact to those that are positive within their own household. There has not been any secondary transmission of the virus, like say from someone at school contracting it just from being at school. It's because they've been in a household with someone who was already positive. What really was the catalyst for Madison County was our neighboring county when we had the agricultural meat processing plant. We had a large number of parents that worked there, and that was really what, about a month ago, really just set everything off for us. So, Christian, am I right about that? That's kind of the trends that we've been seeing. It's not that we don't know where people are contracting the virus. It's because they've been in touch with someone else in their home or closely staying in someone else's home that has had it. And that there again is another reason why when we're out in public, we need to wear our mask as much as possible and social distance as much as possible.
I have a question for Ms. Joseph. You had said earlier with the all-call, is that due to the contact tracing? Are we holding classes or?
At the high school, because That's the only school the students actually change
Right,
class.
right.
Other schools, the students stay in the class and teachers, and we did not want them roaming around, going to different places. We had to contain it. When you
Right.
identify, you contain it, and so we did hold the bell for a while. Okay, 95% of those kids at the school has a telephone, and
And
they're
they
calling
say
their
we're on
moms,
lockdown.
okay? And so it was called a lockdown, so they've called their moms, we're on lockdown, and the
Right.
spread and things. So to alleviate the concern of the parents, we did an all-call, let them know what was going on.
That's what I thought. That's why you did it,
Yes.
which makes sense.
And as a result of that, we did not have a mass rush out there for anyone to pick up their child.
And I think that is one of the best practices and one of the best things that came out of this learning situation for both of us was their decision to do that. And they were very swift in identifying the close contacts as well, so. All right, well, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. And
thank you.
just as always,
Thank you.
I'm
Sharon.
on speed dial and I'm accessible to any of you at any time, so.
All right, thanks for coming and
Thank
thanks for
you.
sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, and she doesn't know it officially, but she will be presenting to and speaking with our principals possibly next week, so we can all get on the same page.
Sure, thank you.
Have any additional? Anything?
That's it.
Okay. Board Attorney Reeves, you have
No,
anything?
Nothing at this time unless you have questions of me.
All right, Ms. Gibson.
Yes, I'd just like to thank Superintendent Joseph for her continued dedication with all that's going on. Mrs. Hill, I appreciate what you've done. You've certainly done everything to accommodate the students in every which way you could. Ms. Kim, I'd like to thank you for coming in and your team. We appreciate all that you contribute to the school system also. And of course, all of our employees, thank you to all of you for what you do. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Alf.
I'd like to thank Ms. Joseph for all her work in this. I really appreciate her keeping an eye on the numbers and not refilling positions as people have left. Due to the shortfall that we potentially could have from the situation we're going through, I want to thank Ms. Hill for all her work with helping the students, helping to work with them, the 86 students to change back. I know we had a deadline, but I appreciate you doing that because that comes to over $500,000 in students. So, and it's just something I'm glad that you're doing, and I'm glad for the students because many of them were in bad situations where they weren't getting probably what they needed. I too would like to thank Ms. Albritton for Friday talking to me, and I appreciate that and all her work. And again, as a board member here, student safety is my priority, but we also have to look at the big picture and look at the district's financial safety. And for the board members who sat here over a year ago and went through what we went through, I think the ones who have been here can also say that. And I can say that safety, we're for student safety, employee safety, and the district's financial safety is what always needs to be at the top of our mind. I appreciate all the teachers' hard work in this first few weeks back and all they're doing, all the extra having to talk in the mask, having to talk in the shield, thinking you have COVID every day and going home and waking up feeling fine the next morning. I appreciate it. I know what you're going through. I go through it. But just appreciative of all their hard work and all the extra duties that they're having to do on top of being a teacher is just unreal. But I do appreciate it and wish everyone a good next 2 weeks.
All right. Ms. Williamson.
Yes, I'd like to thank Ms. Joseph and for her guidance and her leadership in all the areas that has to be managed to get us through this very trying time. And I also would like to thank the health department. And I personally would like to give a special thanks to Mike Coe with a situation that a parent reached out to me that I was not going to be able to help do, and he took care of it for me. So thank you, Coach Coe.
All right, Ms. Bell.
I would like to say thank you to everyone for their hard work, and I pray that everybody continue to be safe.
Okay. And I'll just echo basically what everybody said. We appreciate everybody and the roles you've been playing and the efforts you've been putting forth. Since Ms. Albritton and her team is here, we definitely wanted to let them know we appreciate them, Superintendent Joseph and all of the district staff, everybody. Because again, we're living in, we're going through some unprecedented times right now, and so we're kind of learning on the fly and everything. So it's different for everybody. It's a challenge for everybody. And as I often say, you turn on the news and folks up north are going through the same thing. It's kind of crazy, but we're all going through it. So we're not in it alone. But I think overall, just hearing all of the information presented by the district staff and the health department staff, I would say that we're doing a wonderful job under the circumstances, as a district. So I applaud everybody in the role you're playing and everything that's going on. So, because especially in the school districts, I'm sure that's got to be an extra challenge. People going to work having to face it, is one thing, but the schools where you're dealing with youngsters and energetic little children and all, I'm sure that just adds an extra challenge to it. So that's why I say I really applaud everybody for the roles you're playing and all you have done. And just keep up the good work. And let us continue to pray for our district. All right, on that note, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
September 10th.
Yes. The September 10th meeting we had scheduled to meet with our the financial chief will be canceled. We're canceling that, and he's going to try to come in to sit in, or be with us for our September the 14th meeting. So the special meeting with the financial chief this Thursday has been canceled. We'll look to speak with him or have him speak to us on the 14th meeting. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All right, have a motion, we have a second. All right, all in favor, Ms. Gibson?
Approve.
Mr. Alford?
Approved.
Ms. Williamson?
Approved.
Ms. Bell?
Approved.
And I also approve 5-0, motion carried, meeting adjourned.